When magic exists, killing an enemy becomes complicated. Necromancers fiddle and foil assassins' plans, healers treat the poisoned and cure the disease. Even those pesky druids have gotten into the game of reincarnation. To what ends? To fuel a cycle of revenge and war again and again. Let's not even fathom how difficult it is to kill a god in such a world. In our world. Ah, but you've thought of this, haven't you? To kill a king, to slay a dragon, to eliminate a deity and claim their power for your own. The Shadelands can provide these things to you, adventurer, and so much more. Warlocks from across the plains have made their pilgrimage to the north, where a veil between worlds runs thin, and the hidden ones offer their guidance at a price. Power, wealth, and fame are easy enough to gain elsewhere, but in the great city of Yonkath, true secrets await. So we invite you, no matter your background or how much hate rests in your heart, to join us in the Shadelands. Come see magnificence with your very eyes, and know what a kingdom ruled by warlocks has brought into your world. After all, the only way to learn our secrets is to heed our call. Welcome to the Red Opera. In this campaign setting, we've created an extremely metal-themed epic saga where the players determine the final fate of the Shadelands, a place where the veil between elemental planes runs thin and patrons can whisper directly with members of all classes, not just warlocks. Here, the accursed king sits on a throne, delicately balancing deals with nearly every patron, but his grip on reality is starting to fray. While cities ruled by wizards, clerics, and paladins are common, a war-torn city where warlocks have sought refuge is rare indeed. The Red Opera provides storytellers and players a look into this relationship between warlock and patron, and opens it up so anyone can wield their power. Using this, explore the hidden agendas of those patrons who aren't yet strong enough to be gods, or help young warlocks avoid losing their souls before it's too late. We've created the Red Opera in such a way that it will fit into your existing campaign world, no matter which setting you are running. The 10-act full-length saga is suitable for all tiers of play, including the rare all-level 20 game, yet easily scaled down for first-tier play too. Most importantly, we've truly embraced player agency, and thus have given the campaign multiple endings. Because of this, the Red Opera can be run multiple times, with each playthrough feeling truly fresh and unique. Partnering with Dia Morte, the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame, and the Budapest Scoring Symphonic Orchestra, each of our adventure acts is paired with a track on the Red Opera album. This creates a truly immersive experience by providing multiple mediums of engagement. So other than your soul, what do you have to lose? Help us turn this project into reality by backing our Kickstarter and join the cast of the Red Opera.
Hello, Chaos Chorus, and welcome to the Red Opera. Pope here. We'll get to see all these wonderful people and hear this incredible story real quick. But before we do that, I want to go around and thank our sponsors real quick. We have World Anvil. If you are looking for storytelling tools and a place to put stuff up, check out World Anvil. We use it here for shows like The Crown Lands, for clips. If you need a place to just put some of your thoughts or put some of your gorgeous artwork and have it plug in seamlessly together, World Anvil. Need to thank our friends over at Mage Hand Press. If you are looking for some 5e materials for taking that engine and moving it to space, check out Dark Matter. It is an incredible time, and well, I mean, you could check out the show that happened here and get a feel for that adventurous Kickstarter that they just recently completed. So check out those wonderful friends over at Mage Hand Press. Also, it's Wednesday. Have to thank Helmgast, the makers of Cult Divinity Lost. The I Am Pilgrim Q&A unfortunately has to be rescheduled, but keep your eyes peeled in the Discord and the Twitters for that. And of course, Modifius, providers of such wonderful, wonderful gaming supplements like Star Trek Adventures, which Sword of Kalis just wrapped up last week. Check it out on the VOD, check it out on YouTube. Those folks told an incredible story using the Klingon guide that just came out, which has everything you need, not just for the Klingons, but for playing the game as a whole. So one book, all that lore, all that knowledge. And speaking of that lore and knowledge, that brings me over to Apotheosis Studios, the makers of the Red Opera, and our storyteller this evening, Rick.
Hi, everybody. And also, funny side note, World Anvil, all of my notes for this campaign that we're running right now are in my private World Anvil. So, yeah, I totally used it too. And I know the I know the Mage Hand Press Dark Matter guys. Their stuff's awesome. But today, we have a level 20 epic level adventure as a one-shot, which is tricky as hell, set in the Shadelands. Now, the Red Opera as a campaign is meant to be run for all tiers of play, which includes level 20 if you wanted to start off the game at that part and never level up and get by with dealing with boons. Of course, doing it on a live stream 3-hour event means that we're going to have to make some modifications. What would normally be a larger, longer game session at the table, there is going to be a part that I'm going to sort of snip a little bit, and it'll be kind of clear which that part is. I'll tell you what it is. But before we get into this as the story and what's happening and why the hooks and why these 4 lovely faces are here about to enter the frozen north where the veil runs thin, house rules. My one house rule, or my first house rule, I should say, is that if at any scene, any time, anything goes a little bit wrong, it gets a little bit spooky, gets a little bit creepy, or you just want me to fade to black and not do that, hold your fingers up like this on camera, and this way I will bounce and instantly change scene for you. And the second house rule I have is if you drop a d20, you get disadvantage on your next roll. If I drop a d20, call me out on it, and I will totally give myself disadvantage going next. Now, before I hop in and begin with our story, why don't we at least tell everybody who we're playing and what's going on and what your character is curious about in entering the Shadelands. Let's start off with our character Mort.
Hey everybody, it's Pope here, and I get to play my disastrous dwarf and chef Mort. He is here primarily because his friend, well, more responsibility, Iggy, has gone missing. Iggy's a warlock. Iggy's one of Mab's, and Iggy's been gone for about a month, and we have tracked him back to the frozen north, back to the city of patrons. And, well, I might as well multitask while here, trying to find that troublesome fool and get a feel for the city, its culture, its culinary heritage, and maybe crack a couple of skulls. We'll see.
All right. And then also touring the city and coming in is Mr. January, the General Wizard Mercenary Man. Tell us about yourself.
Hey folks, Dev here. I am playing January, level 20 Necromancer. He's lived life very by the book. He has, in a world where many dark and powerful beings are always reaching out to strike a deal, he has kept himself free of strings attached. And yet, as he was hoping to make his way home at the end of many successful journeys just to sort of start his retirement, he found a fiendish nightmare that gives him the inclination that some part someone here in this city has found some corner of a connection to January's soul by way of his feral brother locked in the Feywild. And so he is coming to the City of Patrons to find what that thread is and clip it and tie it off cleanly so that he can finally go home.
Well, you're not, there's, to begin your retirement, I mean, you are a necromancer. Clearly, you got to walk down the right steps towards lichdom at some point. And also, before we get into who Twinkle is, Mecca, I guess, donated some crits. One of the things that can happen during this stream is that you guys can donate critical fails and critical successes, and I will improv the hell out of them to make sure that these guys have a more ridiculously epic time or a terrible time. Frankly, please help me out. They're level 20 characters, okay? I need the critical failures to pass off to them. Right. So let's go with Twinkle. Twinkle, tell us about yourself and who you're playing.
Twinkle is a Circle of the Moon druid from a tribal society located in the far north. She has been receiving visions recently of where she might find her late husband's killer, and that has brought her here. She also received an invitation to assist some people. So while she's here in the city, she's definitely got a goal, but as is her wont, she wants to have a good time. She wants to live life, and she wants to have fun and make some new friends.
You are totally going to get lost in the Feywild for like another 100 years, all right? That's what happens when everybody says, I want to join a Feywild party, all right? Then our last person is, and the person we're going to start off our scene with is Riva. Riva, tell us about yourself.
Riva is a Scourge Azamar, divine sorcerer. She is part of a angelic order, following kind of follows orders that she's given during her adventures, fell in love along the way, was ready to settle down and just put adventuring and answering angelic voicemails behind her until she got another one. And now she's headed to the Shadelands to answer some prayers. And she's real confused about it.
So, where you were at, you were in your heavenly clouds or your home or wherever Riva, kind of spends her time.
With a person not in the angel plane, so yeah, didn't even go back home.
Just okay.
Oops.
Yep. Just getting a letter via a small sparrow, right? And what actually does ends up happening is when your character, before you even arrived at the Shadelands, you find a stack of mail delivered by several sparrows outside of your doorstep, and on them are these letters written from somebody that you don't even know. They seem to be just bounds and collections of love letters, people writing journeys and statements like, dear, my dear son, I have to leave on a quest, pilgrimage to the Shadelands. I do not know when I will return. If you read this letter, the worst has happened. And there are, a solid stack of letters. And at the back half of them, you keep finding more and more letters from Fate, the governess of the city, where she has been praying and asking her patron, who is this archangel by a name that is best described in Celestial as the morning dew on a tree's leaf. And she's been begging him for guidance and begging him to help her because things are going wrong in the Shadelands. More and more aberrations are slipping through the veils. She fears that the accursed king might be losing his mind. He's a good man, but he's made one too many deals with the wrong kind of creatures. The balance of politics is shifting, and the letters become a little bit more frantic as they keep writing, because she keeps describing how young pilgrims, young warlocks coming to the Shadelands are finding themselves with their entire souls ripped away from them, or finding themselves having to be sold into committing human sacrifice, not just for devils, but even for, the Fae, which is something that you haven't heard of that much. So you definitely have taken to these and decided that this is worthy of your attention. This is worthy of your time. And other generals are coming, but you plane shift or teleport, or because you're a level 20 character, you find your way to get over into the Shadelands. And the one spot that your character is able to come into is this building called the Scarlet Hearth. And you teleport into the Scarlet Hearth. It is a divine shrine dedicated to patrons of all walks and varieties, a building that has this red glow to it. And you can even see in the cracks of the grates on the bottom a black river that has stars underneath it. In this hall, there is statues to every type of patron, everything from the great old ones to, water patrons, to archfey, to, glorious devils with, gigantic horns. There is none to celestials, though. And you realize that fate has been writing you these letters to a celestial patron, even. And yet, in this room, in these chambers, you see none of them. Now, there are members of the Accursed Guard, and there is another young warlock praying in front of what looks like a soldier that's like a hexblade warlock. And you come to in there, and 3 members of the Legionnaires, which are these like town guard with black armor with red lines tracing through them. They bow and say, "Riva, my lord, you have here and you've answered fate's call."
I have. Why are you bowing?
Well, you are legendary. You are the one who fate has been praying for months now. She's been here almost every day praying for somebody from the Celestials to come and help us. And here today you are on this day right before the next festival begins.
Riva's confused for a moment, and she'll shake it off and I'm going to need to speak with Lady Fate. Would you take me to her?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. What we've prepared is we have a small honor guard to escort you around the city. The other 3 generals are already getting tours. Would you please follow us? We will rendezvous with the other generals, and then we will all go to the Hunter's Lodge for the meeting, where everything can be made a little bit more clear. Some of the others have had a chance to introduce themselves into the city. Come. And the 3 guards turn, and as you're walking out and leaving, the young warlock, who clearly has to be maybe 13, 14 years old, praying to this hexblade, you could feel that his eyes sort of narrow at you as you leave, and feel like the daggers in your back as he's kind of communicating with this hexblade patron. Like, they sense your energy here, and the patrons of this place might not so much like your divine presence. But you head on out of the Scarlet Hearth, and you get your first view of the city. And the city is this huge metropolitan, Gothic empire with an aurora borealis that glimmers in the night sky. It is a little bit chilly out, is in the north. You are walking along one bridge that connects these 2 cities. On one side, You see a city that is vibrant, filled with color, life. The buildings have different types of architectures. Nothing looks like it blends and matches. And there's an abundance of wildlife flourishing on one side of the city. On the other side of the river, there is a city that is dark, tall, imposing, glimmering with the aurora borealis behind it, and an impossibly tall spire that looks kind of evil. But it is not raining. It is not raining outside. It is just this calm, chilly, almost about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The sun is still there on the horizon, and on the river below, you see that there are stars of a night sky in this jet black river. As a celestial warlock, not a celestial warlock, as a celestial sorcerer, you know right away that these stars are stars from other planes of existence. Now, when you're walking along the bridges with your honor guard, you come across and you see another honor guard on a middle bridge, and this is where Mort is at. Mort, you have been here for a little bit of time. You've come to find your brother, your friend Iggy, and you're a cook. One of the things that is featured very prominently in the Shadelands is a love of gourmet food and cooking. And there's an entire bridge dedicated to the culinary arts. And it's awesome. You have 4 or 5 legionnaires, and when you ask to be taken around to go sample the city's culinary delights while you waited for the other generals to arrive, they were ecstatic to take you. I mean, it's everything from meats on sticks to spicy cinnamon desserts to crazy 3-course, 7-course meals that are being prepared sometimes by hand with just skill, but oftentimes with magic, including ingredients from elemental planes, various types of creatures that you can't really find anywhere else. And it seems that this middle bridge has an entire gathering and culture around preparing food that is good enough to be offered to a deity.
All right, boys, we're continuing our pub crawl until one of you, who sobers up, drags me back to meet the captain.
Well,
In the
I could get you
meantime-
plenty of ice, miss, but...
No, I'm going to be eating everything, drinking some of things. You all will be drinking. This is agreed.
This
And
is agreed. Yes.
And whoever passes out first, well, you'll figure it out when you come to. Now,
That's
you,
totally
my
Joffrey. He
fine
always passes out.
points to one of the stalls. You, my fine fellow, give me your best and some tips. As he pricks out a bit of parchment and quill.
The stall that you point at is actually run by a series of familiars. These small pseudo-dragon familiars that are all engaged in, cooking various Feywild foods. Like these, a lot of pomegranates is their theme for cuisine. So they create for you this dessert of this diced pomegranate, all with cinnamon and nutmeg, and heated up with a glaze of dryad blood over it. And this dish is presented to you. And for the alcoholic beverages, they have something called, they're not going to serve you ice piss, which is a drink that they say is for lower class. The dragons that are there they'll come up with this soma, this honeyed elixir, almost like a mead type drink. But again, it is made from the sap of a thistle fury. And this is thistle fury sap. It is from a tree that is very, very angry, from the forest of shrieking whispers. And if you drink this, not only will it give you one hell of a chill, but you'll also be able to hear the shrieks of the forest if you listen just quietly. One of the Legionnaires takes this and is like, this does not sound like the buzz I want.
You only live once, if you're lucky. And just takes the drink, slows it down, turns it over, puts it on the stall.
It is actually
quite.
It is quite delicious, but it definitely is like drinking. Like you could tell if you drink enough of this, you would have a night filled with regret. And when you slam your thing back down, you see coming up the bridge by another honor guard, you see Riva. And the Legionnaire says, oh, it's one of the other generals. Have you two met yet?
No. I don't meet fancy people. I try to avoid it. But I guess I have to do this. All right, take me to whoever fancy pants is over there.
Well, this is Lord Riva, and they all bow to the Asimar who's walking up with her honor guard onto the bridge. The honor guard that's with you, Riva, actually turns and says, this is Lord Mort. And they all bow as well. So what ends up happening on this bridge is all of your Legionnaires have all straight up bowed and like lowered their heads while you guys are just there like, we're mercenary generals hired here. But you two can introduce yourselves to each other.
Greetings.
Yes, greetings. So this general thing is rather strange. I am pretty much just a cook. So I don't know what they're all expecting. I don't know what they're expecting of me, aside from possibly getting into a barroom brawl with the forest, which I can't say is new, but it will be interesting, and I was promised food. So, what brings you here?
I got some messages from the lady that lives here, and I'm glad that you are also confused by this. I'm not quite sure.
Don't know no lady,
but that's happening.
It's part of the culture. No, I don't know no fancy ladies, including yourself. But there's time. No, I knew Lacroix before he was a glint in his father's eye, and that boy brought me up here. Well, that
at the mention of Lacroix, all of the Legionnaires that are with you all kind of give a simultaneously like, huzzah to Lacroix, the greatest bastard who ever lived. And they seem very enamored by him with this. At their cheer, however, and cheering Lacroix, you guys both notice at the other end of the bridge, where it starts getting a little bit darker and the other side of the city, there are these members of the Accursed Guard. And the Accursed Guard are all warlocks, who are the king's personal retinue. They tend to wear very dark blue colors and very light leathery armor. And you look over and you see this bit of commotion as we get to January. You are over here, looking for rumors of your lost brother, and you've been in the city side of Yonder. Your tour has been very, very, very different than everybody else. You have been here actually trying to get access to the library of the Accursed King that contains information and knowledge from other planes. They have never let you anywhere near this. The two legionnaires that you've had with you have actually had multiple scruffles into the accursed guide or accursed guards side of the territory. As you are walking, even to the accursed guard that is there, looks at you and goes, "Wizard, how are you even here?"
For the first time, I will be fighting under a man that I have saved from many scraps. I know LaCroix well, and I have fought with him and fought against him, and somehow he has drugged me into his home to help save his skin again.
His skin needs no saving. That bastard should die. I can't believe you're going to side with weakness. Of course, though, you're a wizard. They're bound to be idiots. And the accursed guard, definitely kind of crack their knuckles, and the two legionnaires that are with you, definitely draw their blades just a little bit out of their sheaths. He says, "So, wizard, you've seen yonder. You've seen what we have. We won't let you in. Our secrets are ours alone. Get out."
I don't need to see the records you think that you keep. I know that your skills come from cutting corners, and I'm sure I will find much evidence, many deals left probably on the floor of your markets. I will find what I seek somewhere else.
We can clean up our own. We don't need your kind here. And it is you two on the bridge can hear this and see this little conversation happening as the two generals, even the other legionnaires that are with you guys, all seem to start getting ready. Like they're readying up a few crossbows. There's a few snaps of fingers as the legionnaires on one side of Catholic seem to start noticing that some of their legionnaires were in yonder. And at the same time, you see some warlocks in yonder and some of these accursed guard members starting to have, that eldritch green fire dance around their fingertips. And, you come on out onto the bridge proper where everybody else is at. And the other legionnaires that are there say, "This is the third general. This is January." And they move to help protect a bit.
So we're already making friends. It's nice to see that.
You're being sarcastic. Okay, I got it.
Sarcasm's pretty much one of my two gifts. The other one's breaking wind. So, you there, what brings you to this, literally godforsaken place, but the food's great.
Hello, I'm General January. Riva, of course, I recognize you. You are unfamiliar to me, sir, although, strangely, you look remarkably like a wonderful cook that I have met serving for another army. But I'm remiss that I do not know who you actually might be.
No, I am that cook. No, I guess it's name time. Everyone calls me Mort, though the fancy boys call me Mr. Feldrum. And no, I probably did cook for you once. But no, it's LaCroix dragged you into this mess, is what I'm guessing.
Well shot, exactly.
And as you guys mentioned that name again, all of you have started to move back off the bridge as the accursed guard has started to kind of come up to match you guys. There is definitely a political tension into the air about these two cities and the way that they're starting to interact. And you have, January, in your entire time here, never seen another wizard. And it's one of the first major cities that you've ever been into that they just don't accept wizards here to the same degree. You're used to shunning warlocks. What the hell? But as you guys are backing off of, you're right. As you guys are backing off the bridge and you are coming back towards the side with all of the color, the life, the music, the bards, you're backing off, and this is where Twinkle is going to be at. Now, Twinkle, you are the Fae who knows the most about why you are here. I have a connection to, and so many friends among the archdruids and the patrons that would be in the Feywild. You know that the Forest of Shrieking Whispers, something has twisted the entire Feywild and turned it entirely dark. You know that there is this disturbance. You know that an entire mountain range-sized forest is starting to self-animate and draw upon the blood of sentient sacrifices. And in very near future, they are going to start making their way towards the cities. You hear this on the whispers of small birds that you talk to. You sense it in the land. You feel it in the bones. You know that there is an ill omen afoot in this place. And you've asked to see the city before everybody meets at the Hunter's Lodge because you want to know what it is that you want to save. And while you are walking up to the river, as these three generals are coming off of the bridge, you look into the obsidian rush as the elemental dance of the Aurora Borealis is above it. And you see somebody trapped in the obsidian rush, a face that you recognize, the face of your dead companion named Frecky, trapped underneath the water, swimming like a dead soul, moving his way towards the Scarlet Hearth. And occasionally you can catch a glimpse of others, one or two other people. But this river does seem to capture those who have died in past. And eventually there is a soul or a well of souls in this place where they're just simply consumed by the patrons that have grown in power and need something more to feast upon. And with that look of horror that she has on her face right there is when you guys are coming off the bridge, and she has more legionnaires around her than you guys do. But the legionnaires that are there, one of them totally brings out like an extra flask, and you see him toss an extra flask of the Thistle Fury drink to another one of their soldier companions. They give each other a slight nod, but the one guard who is sort of been speaking up the most, he looks to all of you and says, well, all right, this is it. You guys are the ones who we've conscripted to help us. Everybody, please meet Lord. He looks at you and goes, he looks at Twinkle and goes, what's your actual title?
I am, you'll forgive me, I'm a bit shaken. I am the chief druid of the Clan of the Bear. Twinkle
With that
twinkling star.
With that, more just sort of like it was about to point, stops himself, just smiles. Bears are good.
Oh, you guys would love
Yes.
the Calden kind we have here. I should introduce you to the Calden kind. They're race of bear people that we have. Some of our best merchants are them. Arms and armor on the other bridge, though.
Another time.
Other time. Well, I suppose that since you have, do any of you need to see anything or would like to see anything in the city before we move? Dusk is almost upon us, and the meeting with the Legionnaires is right at dusk.
Well,
I'll take that silence as a no.
Apologies. A lot of information over a very short period of time.
I think you're going to get answers at the meeting.
I hope so.
Twinkle is still
Well,
sort
if
of
you
like
guys-
staring at the river. She looks quietly distressed, but she's trying hard not to show it outwardly.
One of the Legionnaires says, "We call this river the Obsidian Rush. It falls it flows upwards, actually, rather than downstream. But it flows in from the Well of Souls out in the Black Sea into the Scarlet Hearth. So oftentimes, if you stare at it long enough, you will find the souls of lost ones that have passed as they are milled or feasted upon before reincarnation. One of our jobs as Legionnaires is to help protect the river and things that might crawl out of it, in case things go south. I mean, kind of gets he's a bit like, yeah, that's a task we got to do. It's not the prettiest.
Could a soul be conjured out of there?
Oh, very much, very much. If you find the right patron inside the Scarlet Hearth and you offer them the right food or right dish, you can totally cut a favor with any patron and get any favor you want. I don't recommend dealing with demons, though. That was my patron. Guy was a total jerk.
Yes, I'll have to see what can be done, but later. It can be later. We have more important
All
matters
right.
to tend.
And with this, one of the Legionnaires pulls out a sword real quick and does stab something that was crawling out of the river just real quick. Like it's just like he's just like, yep, I got this. Stabs something, slides his blade back up, and you guys all start heading out of the city. Getting
As we're
to...
walking, I was just gonna say, as we're walking, I kind of lean down to Mort, like, they built their cities next to a river of souls, and said that's a good idea.
No one has been accused of having a good idea in at least a century.
Fair enough.
When you guys get out of the city, you guys arrive at this hunter's lodge that is maybe about 3-4 miles out of Yonkoth proper. It's up higher on a bit of an overlook, so you can see the city down. You can see the full aurora, light greens and colors of the city, like highlighting everything in it. Small bits of candlelight are starting to appear in the city as it's starting to get a little bit darker outside. Outside of the hunter's lodge, though, there are about 30 to 40 different dogs and dog sled teams that are out there. They're being played with by various legionnaires, various soldiers. There is a small marshalling company of about 100 people. And from the looks of it, you can tell that these are not rookie soldiers. Normally, you're used to seeing mercenary companies that are filled with people that have never held a blade in their life. The Legionnaires of the Fallen, most of them have equipment that is magical in nature. They've definitely cut their teeth on a few things. You might even have recognized a few of their members as warlocks in former adventuring parties and former heroes that maybe have since given up their path. And opening the door to the lodge itself reveals and takes the nice smell of turkey and music as a party inside seems to be going on. You see Lacroix, the knight captain, with his massive hammer, walking by various tables, like handshaking different legionnaires as they are getting ready for a mission. It doesn't seem that alcohol is heavy on the menu. Everyone seems to be limiting themselves to 1 or 2 drinks at most, because you're about to go out to war. And in the middle table off to the side, or the middle table in the far back by the big fireplace that goes up throughout the entire wall, is a wood elf in samurai-looking armor, and you guys that would have heard of her recognize her as Fate. Now, Riva, you instantly feel that other divine connection with another creature. You can tell that she has some celestial backing herself. But when you guys walk in, there is absolutely a cheer. You know, Lacroix stands up and says, "Here, here, our generals have arrived. Everybody, please." You know, everybody gives you, a big round of applause. And Lacroix kind of points to the lot of you and says, "One of you tell me your biggest failures. Make it hilarious. Mine? Oh, man. I was in the middle of slaying a red dragon. I tripped. I fell down the gold pile, twisted my arm, and ended up taking out our party's own halfling."
Pope, you're
You
muted.
muted, Pope.
My only great failure, Lacroix, was not plowing your mother harder. And goes over and grabs a drink.
He does. He laughs at this. He's like, "Oh man, all right, we're going there already." Well, I got nothing to that. And he looks over to Fate. He like turns a bit like red cheeked about the mention of, like romance, and he's like, "Right. I'm gonna need another drink." And when he even goes to get another drink, the other legionnaires all race to get him a drink first for that scorn, and two at least buy you a drink right away, Mort. But you guys are here. You get a chance to relax a bit, eat some food, fill your bellies, and have a moment to ask some questions for yourselves. And do any like side role play if you want. But once you're ready, I'll begin.
After getting a couple of drinks,
Right.
Mort's going to actually head back out of the lodge. He's just gonna sit butt up against the wall, looking at all the legionnaires playing with the dogs. He's gonna mutter under his own breath for a good while. He's gonna cast ritually speak with animals.
Sure. And since you are outside and you're taking this moment of quiet, while you're sitting there, you can hear the sounds of eerie shrieking and crackling of brambles and breaking of trees in the distance. Already you can see that while light shines on one half of the city with the aurora, over to your other side, it is getting darker and darker. And the sounds and cold, with a bit of snow flurrying, a crystalline atmosphere is happening. But when you cast Speak with Animals, the dogs that are there seem incredibly happy that somebody wants to talk to them. One of them, named Pumpkin, you find out, will come up and totally be a good doggo and, give you the cheek kisses and everything.
No, takes time, plays with most of the dogs, but then like gives all the legionnaires sort of a look of get inside, and he's going to address the actual troops. Gather all the dogs,
Gotcha.
and just go, "I don't know what those numbskulls have planned. I know it's dangerous. I know you're going to get excited. You already are, as you should be. But I want you to keep this in mind. Your lives are worth 10 of theirs. And I don't want to lose a single one of you. So, no unnecessary heroics."
There is definitely some small whimpers as the dogs convey and get that emotion put into there. One of the lead dogs definitely seems like get down on all fours and look up to you and sit attentively. When you speak about no unnecessary heroics, some of their tails waggle just a little bit, but do fold a little bit, especially as there's a screech and a shriek that cuts through the air right as you say this. The legionnaires who have all gone in, you hear the sounds of like Lacroix banging some glasses together, saying, let's begin. But the dogs that are there all definitely seem to listen and take what you say to heart. And when it comes time for checks later on, if it's animal handling checks, you, sir, are going to get advantage.
I think.
Now-
I think Twinkle. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. This is if you guys have
Okay.
any questions before I read, or you want to do something to get some extra information, just like this, talking to the dogs, or asking me a question. Now's the time.
Well, I think that Twinkle caught what was going on there. She would have heard the dogs braying and then heard it quiet a little bit, and perhaps she was like at the doorway, sort of listening. And she will casually stride past the scene and give Mort a nod of respect, and she's her father's a barbarian, so he's done this in the past and she's familiar with it, and she just sort of like deeply respects his care for the animals. But she will go to the plants instead. She will go sit at the base of a tree directly in the dirt and possibly snow. No heed for mess. She'll put her back flush to whatever tree it is, and she will press her palms directly to the earth. And I am going to cast Commune with Nature.
So you sit in the snow, and you dip your hands down, so that the snow is almost up to your forearms, right, all the way down, and you cast your Commune with Nature, and you get this vision, this sense of hunger from the forest, and even the tree that's here that's not connected to the Shrieking Whispers. They have tasted blood, and they want more. The forest and the land is hungry, and they have sensed that Yankoth is a place where they could get their sacrifices. You do feel that there is an image of a fey devil, at the crux of this, pushing and praying, getting his power by the sacrifice that is happening. And you do not know his name. You do not know what he's up to, but you know that just inherently somebody has awakened an entire forest and awakened the land and given them the taste of blood. These plants want more. This is not your forest to command. You are in the presence of another patron.
And I think after a few moments of understanding and learning that this is not necessarily my domain, I'm going to retrieve my hands from the snow and sort of rub feeling back into them. And when the forest is sick, you have to burn out the sickness.
And January or Riva, do you guys have anything you wish to do power-wise before we begin?
January is... Oh, go ahead.
Looking around the room, what is Fate doing? Is she like talking to people, or...
Fate is she is engaged with people. She seems to be. You watch them, and you see that Lacroix constantly comes to her, trying to give her a beverage, or perhaps a turkey leg, perhaps a small dessert or a cake, and they keep piling up because she's kind of ignoring his attempts at getting her attention, because she's staring at a map, and you can see from where you're at. This map has the city of Yonkoth, and they've put around it this markers for how big the Feywild's encroach is becoming, and it is spawning out from this forest. When people do ask her, and people say that the accursed guard is a problem, or they start trying to mistalk Dorian, you see that she actually stops a lot of that. She's like, no, it's the Legionnaires' jobs to do this. Sometimes patrons get bad. Sometimes we have to get involved. We don't know what's happening. And so she seems to be trying to keep the peace between two sides while dealing with a very real problem that the city that she's the governess of, could be devoured and, killed by Thistle Furies by dawn.
I want to approach her since I've received hundreds of her letters.
Oh yeah, she'll look up, and she's got these beautiful emerald eyes, with her like long, crazy, wood elf ears, and she looks up, and there's a hint of familiarity when she looks at you, and you're in the flesh. I'm sorry. I forgive me. You must be Riva.
I am.
I am glad that my patron finally answered my call. They refuse to speak to me. They won't give me any guidance. But I asked them. I foresaw that you would be helpful here into this, and so I've been sending gifts and sacrifices to my patron so that you might come and help offer guidance here. But that's because of more than just the trees.
More than just the trees.
She kind of like she does like push away a Legionnaire, and she'll lean in and say, the Shadelands survives, Riva, by all patrons acting in balance with one another. We've had devils, we've had demons, and we understand that sacrifices must be made at times. But we also have the Feywild. We have the great old ones. We have those beneath the seas, and we have the undying, those who seek immortality. All of this is fine, but we are missing the divine. The churches have been largely outlawed or shut down. Things that have been worshiping druids and circles have been slowly starting to disappear. There's an attack on faith here in the Shadelands. And frankly, I can't turn to other warlocks for this. I'm the only one who prays to a celestial. But even my patron won't answer my calls anymore. But he must be listening because he sent you here.
I think we are largely divided on this topic. On what it is to be a patron.
Perhaps. I know that some What's the difference between a patron and a god?
Or perhaps a warlock, a cleric, and a paladin.
I can actually answer that for you. The difference between a patron is that a patron has found secrets. They are somebody, perhaps like yourself, that has risen high enough in power, learned things that others haven't, and have a little bit of power to give out, but they need something in turn. Whereas a god or somebody that's ascended truly into divinity, they draw their power from the number of people who worship them. It's a very, very tight rope. But the difference is that one draws power one way, the other gives it out. Most people just think all patrons are devils and demons, but there are plenty of other well-minded and well-intentioned patrons that just need help getting something done. Like Megoro, she helps deal with time, right? She nips time just a little bit here and there and a little bit, and she then takes that time and sells it to eldritch beings so that they can stay sane when they are trapped in a world without time. So there's a lot of complexity there, but it's my job to make sure that warlocks do not enter deals that are not beneficial both ways. Sadly, it seems that that balance has gone a little bit awry, and many of the patrons are no longer listening or accepting the same fair bargains that they used to have. We've even heard of some patrons allowing warlocks to create pacts with multiple patrons at the same time here. Can you imagine that? To be stuck with several entities that you owe favors to in exchange for power? Where's the limit? And right around this time in the conversation is when you had your conversation with the dogs. January, what did you want to do?
January's doing his best "Hey, fellow kids" move, and has found some of the younger, greener soldiers that he'll be commanding, and he's just trying to bond with them and swap stories. And at one point, sort of laughs a little too loud at one, and just, "Ha! Then you learned the same lesson as Jonas of Iconia." And you can tell that this person has no idea who that reference might be to.
You have a spell book, yes? You are clearly a wizard, though, right?
Yeah.
You actually find several legionnaires always surrounding you, occasionally trying to, like, in the conversation, they're like, Jonas, was he another wizard? Like, they are really curious about this wizard thing, and in your time you will learn that every legionnaire was a warlock at one point, but they have forsaken that path. Either their patron has been killed, or they got severed from it, or they broke the pact with their patron themselves, so they've all taken up other classes. But the catch is that sometimes there's not teachers to teach them other classes, and in the ranks of the legionnaires you can find that a lot of these people are really knowledgeable about arcane and occult and things like that. It's not like they have anybody that's ever trained them in wizardry. You would easily be like, man, you guys would rock a wizard school if you could just get these like 30, 40-year-old, 50-year-old guys to actually go back to school, like, with a bunch of 13, 14-year-old kids starting off. They would probably blow through those classes right away.
Of course Jonas was a wizard. He was a wizard who trained me. But right, you wouldn't know about that. I'm sorry. Never mind. Give me back this book, please.
No. Right. And he hands it back and says, a lot of necromancy in there. I have one rule. We do not raise the dogs back from the dead.
Heard.
All right. And at this, the Knight Captain takes over and says, friends and warriors, you've heeded our call, you've shared our wine. But tonight, our quest is simple, but no less dangerous than any war. Here in the Shadelands, as you know, we are blessed with a mystical wonder and cursed with aberrant horrors at the same time. The fallen we are stretched thin. All of you that have attended tonight, you 100 men are the only ones we have left, because the northern aspects of the Shadelands are under siege as well. But tonight, The Feywild has grown restless, greater than we've ever seen before. An entire forest of thistle furies, each coated in mortal blood, has uprooted itself and began marching towards the capital. Our job tonight is twofold. Become lumberjacks and find out which idiot fucked up and started it. So, to help with this, we've consulted and we've garnered support from these 4 fine individuals who will be able to help lead all of us to contain an entire forest. I think we should just corral it and light it on fire, but these guys might have better ideals. So to this, I'm going to let them take over, and the floor of this planning is theirs. And Fate pulls out the map, and she lays it on the table for you guys, and says, right, here's what we have. The encounter and where they're at is about 3 miles to the north. They will reach Yonkoth at dawn. In order to get there, we've planned to take the dog sleds and get out there. Once we get to the forest, we're going to engage in battle with it to the best that we can. And then we need somebody else, a team assigned to go in and see if they can get to the heart of the problem. The lives of our men and the lives of our companions, and she points outside to the dogs, are in your hands.
Well, no pressure.
None at all. Most people care more about the dogs than they do about the men.
As it should be. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
Everybody, actually, even among the Legionnaires, they all just kind of begrudgingly agree. They're like, yeah, that's kind of true. I mean,
Can't argue with that.
All right, so we've got 3 incredibly potent practitioners of magic. Me. It's fairly simple.
And you have 100 soldiers.
The soldiers are to play catch the drop ball and hold the line. That's their job, is to pick off stragglers to the best of their ability and try not to get the dogs killed. My job is to go right there, points to the center of the line, and just keep going. I have one
So
speed, mine, and that's my job. I will try and pull everything to me and make it either afraid or pissed. And I will try and hew as much as I can and go that way. If a forest manages to kill me, well, its bark was worse than its bite. As for you, the fire seems like a good idea. Fire and some means of keeping them hemmed in. I'm essentially an agent of chaos.
Fate will nod when you say fire, and she'll say, yeah, thistle furies are indeed weak to fire. We have every intention of setting the entire forest ablaze if we need to. So it might not be the fire that kills you if you're in the middle. Or it might not be the forest, it might be the fire.
It'll be the smoke inhalation before it's the fire.
So...
yeah, I don't know the expertise aside from points to January. You make bad jokes. You're shiny and fancy, pointing over to Riva, and you actually have responsibilities and old knowledge, pointing to Twinkle.
I I've made my fair share of bad jokes. Fire,
Nothing's
I
a
can
better
do.
joke than nothing's a worse joke than how much I don't love fate here. LaCroix, gives her an elbow to the side, and she's just like, "Oh my god, why am I with this person?"
Can't tell if they're a couple or like if they hate, like if she just is like ignoring him.
You have enough insight. You actually were talking to her. She does not like him in that way. He's been like trying to pine. You can definitely garner with some insight that maybe he has like a major announcement that he's thinking that he wants to make towards her or do something. She's like trying to do her job as governess, and she's largely rebuffing some of his advances. All of them, actually.
Oh, honey. We'll have a talk later. All right, fire I can do.
I'm filled with bad jokes.
Fire I can do. It isn't my strong suit. I prefer ice, but fire can be done. I can also provide you a little bit of support on the front line, Mort. I am no pushover when it comes to close quarters combat, at least when I'm in one of my other forms.
That's good, especially for the moment that, I go off this way and veer because it happens. But honestly, my concern is keeping it, just pointing to the big blob of forest, this pinned in. Because it's moving, and it seems to be moving faster than you all anticipated.
Now, when you guys are looking at the size of this forest on the map, and you're thinking about trying to maybe engage these things in combat one-on-one, or at least run off and have a whole lot of them chase you, the one thing that Twinkle, is the number of them. You are looking at a full army of the forest entirely moving and coming towards you. It's not like, hey, we're going to go fight, 10, 15 trees. You guys have to come up with a plan to corral an entire forest.
We're not dealing with a small force here. We're dealing with a legion.
Can we make a firing line? Or can any of you magic up a trench? Or 12? Because honestly, you guys all brought us here a bit late for this kind of dance party, at least the one I'm used to. Usually,
LaCroix says,
dealing with a siege.
LaCroix says part of the reason we're taking the dog sleds is we do have some siege equipment, and most of our men are capable fighters and barbarians of their own variety. Some of them are quite skilled at being sorcerers, even though they won't reveal it. So you have our assets. If you think about it, every soldier in the Legion of the Fallen, every one of us here, has at least slain adult dragons.
I'll ask.
We are more. We are more than just standby.
No. I'll ask this. This is the important question. How many of you and your lads know a very specific cantrip? Move Earth.
He looks around and goes, about 15 to 16.
Good. Pretty much once this playing meeting's over, me and those boys are going to go up and prep a trench. A big one. I want something at least 20 feet wide, so those things can't step over it. And then it essentially gives us a fire break for when the fire does break out, because it will.
Mm.
And give us a line to hold, as well as cover in case these things, throw stuff.
I can assist with that.
Even better. But this is just a defensive line, and trust me, I'd rather have 3 of them, but we don't have the manpower or the time.
Plus,
Well,
if
if
I
you're looking to
understand
make
the
a
problem-
trench. Oh. Go ahead,
if I
January.
understand the problem correctly, once the forest is burned down, so is all the evidence of what caused this. We need to find out what we can discover about who may be at fault here.
And
I have
that's
a
where Fate
hunch.
chimes in. She says, we're definitely going to need to either assign another team of adventurers or recruits to go into the forest, or one of you or all of you might have to go in to find it. But we have to do that while the forest is still active.
I'm much more suited for the infiltration. I think my trench digging days are a bit behind me.
Okay,
All
so while this
right.
is going on, you'll go inside then. And you, Riva?
January shouldn't go alone. I won't be much help digging the trenches. So I'll assist.
Okay, the two of you going together. Get one quick thing. Get your 2 with the keenest eyes in this 100-man bunch, and 2 who are too stupid or stubborn to die. They're going with them.
We got plenty of those. It'd be hard to pick only 2 of the latter type. So, all right. So just so I know as a storyteller, when we get out there, and just to give you guys a heads up, this is the part, by the way, if you guys are watching, and this is the part of the Red Opera where if this was to be a full large-scale encounter with level 20 characters, this is the one that you would actually okay, we have a big map, we have it planned out, here's what you're going to do. Because their job is to corral this entire forest. For you guys, what we're going to do is you guys will be splitting your party, and we're going to run the encounter where I'm going to touch a bit on Mort and Twinkle as you guys are trying to contain things, while Riva and January dive in, and hopefully you guys aren't going to be hit or stuck in the middle of the chaos that happens. But we're going to see if we can get you guys in and out while you guys hold the line to prevent the forest from advancing. Sound good? All right. So, you guys, everybody seems to sort of get ready to go. They latch on their final plates of armor. They get their swords, their axes, their various arcane focuses and trinkets. And you see, most of them cast, various extra spells or ways to buff themselves. You guys can automatically go ahead and just say that you do any of the stuff that you have on your sheets so that you go into combat full ready with whatever you have. When you guys get on your dog sleds, and you have 2 dog sleds with 10 puppers for each of you. So there's going to be 1 dog sled team for January and Riva, 1 dog sled team for Mort and Celeste. You guys have your Legionnaires assigned with you, and you ride on out into the cold night. The snow, as the further out you gets deeper. You can see the looming trees in the distance, sort of, rocking side to side as there's the occasional shriek of the forest. Above them, the cloud cover blots out the stars. You definitely feel that there's heavy snow raining down or snowing down on you. The closer you get to this forest, the cold seems to bite in all the way down to your bones for all of you. The Legionnaires and everybody you set up outside of the forest, and you don't quite see the trees that are moving just yet. It's not like there's treants that are just like up and walking around. The forest of shrieking whispers is still there, but slowly starting to rise itself up. Inside, through some of the trees, you occasionally see sparks of green energy, and then you will see like a boulder move or something happen. And it looks like, you ever see those nighttime clouds, those lightning storms in the sky? That is what it looks like on the ground inside of the forest. And you guys have enough time to set up this deep, long trench that you guys wanted to do with moving earth, right? And you set up one, and Fate herself will set up another one to mirror you on the other side, so that you have like one trench and then a small gap, and then there's another trench. So at least worst case scenario, you can have a choke point. And that is when, right when you guys are getting ready, is when the forest busts out. And what you see is these gigantic, 30-foot tall, eldritch aberrations made out of stone, twigs, vines, held together with green energy, but settlers and blood and bodies of people that have been sacrificed are pinched to them. These things come lumbering out of the city and the forest, and their footprints are larger than 20-foot steps just by their size alone. Mort, you look up at them as they are cresting out of the forest and rising up out of the trees. The forest of Thistle Furies isn't just waking like a bunch of trees that you were going to light on fire. They are literal aberrant horrors that are piecing themselves together from the aspects of the forest and any living creature. One of them at the front has deers aligned and hanging off of its antlers. Twinkle, you take one look at this forest and you're like, that is not a forest, that is an aberration. That has nothing to do with nature. And there are a ton of them. Very quickly, they start racing towards your line. The Legionnaires all start brace, and they used to hit their dog sleds. They don't want to sit in one line. They will look to Mort if Mort tells them to hold. Otherwise, they're going to start taking their dog sleds and maintaining distance as they fire. Do you want them to hold, or do you want them to run?
Have them run. But if they're going to be taking pot shots, if they're not going to try and engage in melee, try and keep between the lines. And then circle out and do a circuit.
All right, that they can do. While this chaos is starting to erupt from battle, and you see them starting to fire eldritch blasts of energy, bows, arrows, flaming, like flaming ballistas off of the back of a dog sled. January and Riva, you guys are given the signal from Fate, and the 4 Legionnaires that are with you are going to have to race and ride into the forest. And at this, we're going to roll initiative. But we're going to roll initiative in a weird way. It's going to be Mort and Twinkle on one side, and then it's going to be Riva and January on the other side. And so tell me what you guys get.
I never roll great for initiative. Oh, no, still bad. Never mind. I saw my proficiency bonus, so I was like, hell yeah, not my initiative. That's 13.
January got an 8.
What'd you get, January? All right, so you guys are going to go on 13. I'm just bumping you up to the higher end. Yeah, but she got a 13, so I'm just bumping you up to her. She's driving on the bit. And Mort?
18.
18. And what'd you get, Twinkle?
8.
All right, you guys are going to get to go on an 18 as well. Now, what you see in the initial forest attack is the forest goes first. These trees, or these thistle furies, even though they are large, they definitely come on out, moving slower than would be expected as they recognize the resistance, and they start taking the on fire from everybody that's there. On their action that they see, out of maybe the few hundred trees, you see things starting to fall off of them. And the big trees themselves, the big thistle furies, move very slowly at first. But these things that are falling off, you see in the snow, and you guys are still a bit up. Like, they're not right up on top of you. They're coming. You see these little black lines running through the snow, and they are streaking fast. And the entire forest, as they come out, seem to drop these little things into the snow and start racing at you.
Mort just hollers out, "We've got skirmishers! Fire for effect!"
And it is actually your turn next. Your command goes forward. When you say this, the Legionnaires, I'm going to go ahead and roll for them real quick. Actually, no, you can roll for them. Roll me a d20 plus 7 for the Legionnaires just to see.
24.
24? All right. And I will go ahead and do this real quick. All right. You see the Legionnaires change their fire from hitting the big guys down towards the ground. And you hear screeches and howls from children as they are just peppered in the snow under the things. Fire starts lighting up on the snow, kind of creating this glissile effect that starts there. And that's like, there's trees, then there's this fire line that is starting to come up, and then there's you guys. Twinkle, what will you do during this turn?
Twinkle steps up and she drops some of her gear to the ground, and she looks at Morton. She said, "We need fire. I've got fire. I'm going to cast Shape Change, and I'm going to take the form of an adult red dragon."
Yep, that's what we're level 20 characters. This is what we're talking about. You begin, the bones crack, the claws dig into the ground, and your size and wings start appearing from your back as you majestically rise up to actually look into the eye at one of the Thistle Furies as your size comes up to join this. Your shape changing, I believe that happens, takes a turn, or can you still act?
Yes, that's an action. Well, no, the spell is an action, yes.
Okay, and Mort, you still get an actual action besides commanding the Legionnaires. They're just putting suppressive fire on the skirmishers.
Bonus action, I would like to rage. And as he does so, draws 2 hand axes and just charges into the fire.
Okay.
Just screaming.
Are you taking your dog sled by chance?
No, he's on foot.
I assume that when somebody turns into a giant dragon and you just like, I'm gonna go after him.
Yeah. It's
all right.
It's pretty much, he just whistles to the dogs, go home, friends, and hops off, and then becomes a raving madman. As cackling into the fire, 2 axes, first thing he comes into is going to get them buried in.
All right, go ahead and give me the first. So as you're running forward, you see, have you seen, a good way to describe them, have you seen Pan's Labyrinth? Do you know like the little like tooth fairy things that are those little things kind of like that are like running around, their heads barely poking up out of the snow, or sometimes they're running along it, where the trees seem to be moving at about, maybe 15, 20 feet as they walk forward and lumber forward. These little guys are racing at like 60 easy, and they are being dropped from these trees very often, and those are the first things that you're going to come across are these little guys. Or do you want to push it into run after the first aberrant horror that's coming out of the forest?
We're going to multitask as we go. We're going to deal with the little ones as we're going to cut a bloody swath to the big ones. Because right now I'm essentially playing a horticulturalist, and I'm going to take some trimmings.
Oh yes, you don't even need to roll to attack the little ones. They have a grand total of 1 hit point each, but that is not why they are horrifying.
It's the speed.
Yep, you break and start chopping these little ones that aren't already being burnt as you start wading your way towards one of the big aberrants that is coming out. Now, on the other side, you guys are going to take a dog sled and you're going to race on in. So which of you want to give me your base dog sled speed is like maybe 30 feet. These little guys are faster than your dogs. But you make an animal handling check and go faster if you want, or if you guys are going to like just go teleport in or something, that's up to you. What are you guys going to do?
Yeah, you want over, under, or through?
I can fly. How much does January weigh? Can I just scoop up January and fly it?
I mean, January, I don't know how heavy you are. If
Yeah, I'm looking at January.
Oh, yeah. Oh, January is, I don't know, 170.
I feel like I could.
all right,
Fly
yeah,
on in
that's
there.
I'm totally okay with it. You burn a
Cool.
spell slot. You cast fly. The two of you start,
It's actually
ejecting
just,
up.
It's actually my otherworldly wings. As a bonus action,
Oh,
you can manifest
cool.
wings and you get a flying speed of 30 feet. Angel wings.
Oh, please describe this to me. Describe this action then, because that's awesome.
So looking around and seeing all of this happening, Riva closes her eyes, and when she opens them, her eyes are kind of cloudy anyway, but when she opens them again, they're glowing white. And these large white, they're like peregrine falcon wings that shoot out from her back, and without even thinking about it, soups up January and starts to fly in.
Okay. You get up there in the air. It is hard to see because of all the snow, especially as you start moving closer over them. But you do get a nice illumination of the overall battlefield, and you can see from your perch this green lightning arcing throughout the forest underneath it, and it's racing about maybe a mile in. With the amount of forest that is being animated through this spell effect, because you're both a wizard and a sorcerer, you can tell that this is some sort of spell or something going on. And with the amount of people that are here, that dragon is a lot of their hopes to corral the forest at the moment. Because even if you were a tough, unkillable bastard that ran through bit by bit, it's just sheer numbers. So you see that like it's really like they're going to need some terrain help. But they are doing a really good job as the dog sleds start racing out and even starting to cut in and out, but they're keeping distance to keep shooting. You guys fly in. You haven't really made it into the forest yet, but your vision is starting to get a little bit limited by just the heavy snowfall that's there. At the top of the round, the forest goes again. Most of these little guys have gotten killed. The aberrant things walk out a little bit more, 1 in number, 2 in number, 3 in number, coming out around you guys towards the dragons, and more creatures keep falling off of them. And now that the one in front, that more you are almost to, you can see that it's taking bits and bones of the bodies that it has already had sacrificed to it and crushing them and turning them into these little seedlings that hit the ground. Already it drops, each of them seems to drop, a small horde every turn that comes streaking out towards you. There's the sound of a dog squealing as January and Riva, your dog sled, left alone to their own devices as you have flown off. Some of them have been chased down already by these small little creatures. The dog sled still chained up to their things, can't really run as much as they can. One of their dogs gets taken down. And you know that the other 7 on that sled are soon to follow next round.
Oh, I didn't know they were chained up.
Yeah, well, they're tied to the sleds, so.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, no. Mort, your action. You can still intervene. You are close enough to go back and save a dog sled. Or you can push forward. Or command the troops to save the dog sled.
Mort's pissed. He's going to issue no man or beast gets left behind. Just out behind him, trying to command the troops to save the sled as he barrels in to this massive horror, screaming out, "So you hardwood or you bunch of weeping willows? I'm gonna hew each of you down and build a monument to your failures. I will sit atop a throne, speaking of my glories and your ineptitude. And your head looks like a perfect goblet. I'm gonna drink mead out of your skull."
Humans are always so noisy. And it goes
I'm a dwarf, damn it!
It doesn't know. Go ahead and give me your attack rolls and on this guy. As you run into the first Thistle Fury. Here's a question. Are you using an axe by chance?
I'm using 2 axes.
You can give me an intimidation check at DC 20, by the way. It's pretty much automatically guaranteed for you.
That is precisely 20.
All right. Somehow, as this tree whore looks, and he's like gonna come down and attack you, and he sees that you have 2 axes. He pauses, or it pauses and freezes, letting you have a complete opening to attack it. Just go ahead and roll damage. You can ignore your attack rolls.
Okay. Fun times, fam. Okay. So, first 2 strikes, and then the offhand. So, first 2 strikes. Oh my! Nearly max. So... in total, that is 36 damage.
Mort goes in on this creature, hacks off one of the rocks. There's sparks of green lightning when it falls off, pulls another one, takes out like a kneecap. The beast lumbers over for a second, falls. More seedlings drop from it when it falls down, and when it picks itself back up, it's like stitched together by deer parts and like the what looks like the remnants of a settler that was sacrificed within it. But it is, judging from this, given the forest, given enough time, you probably could hack them all down. Like, it would take you a while. You might have a long night, but you could probably do it. It's just going to take a bit. Now, Dragon, though. You are up and you are seeing, you see that Mort brings one down almost, which is kind of inspiring, but there is still an entire forest coming out. What do you do?
I'm gonna take a few giant strides forward so that I get everybody all of the friendlies out of range. I'm gonna take a big, deep breath, and I'm just gonna belch fire. So that's a red dragon fire breath is 18d6 fire damage.
Yeah, you can go ahead and give me that full damage.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, their saving throw versus a fire. By the way, your damage is going to be doubled.
Oh yeah. Okay. No.
They are.
Oh, doubled, you say?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. I got 10. I got 20. I got 28. 30. That was actually kind of. Wait. I do that again. 30, 40, 48, 52, 53, 56, 59, times 2, it's 118.
The initial, you are standing there, Mort, with your axes, into this one tree, and around you the fire comes. Out of the initial line of aberrant horrors that come out, all of them get incinerated. This screeches and howls from the initial blast of this, and their melting bodies falling into the snow. The snow itself is slush and water-like that almost races out after you've done this. But you take out the initial line instantly. Cinders and ashes are all that are left and fall and remain. The Legionnaires cheer at this because clearly this is going to be a much easier battle than they otherwise thought. While January and Riva fly overhead, you see that they have much, much more to go. Now, you guys are going to be looking for a source of this. Do you guys want to do an investigation check to see if you can find where you want to go? Since you're flying, you don't really have to deal with these guys doing too much to you yet.
I actually have an idea if January is okay with doing the investigation. I'd like to use my action to cast, how far are we from Twinkle and Mort?
You guys are probably about maybe 60 to 100 feet away at this point. You just took off last turn.
60 to 100 feet. I want to use Holy Weapon on Mort's axes. And I have distance
totally.
spell. You deal an extra 2d8 radiant damage. And then they have to make when the spell is dismissed, you can deal more damage. But yeah, you can deal 2d8 extra damage. You see that your axe, as this fire's coming around you, you feel this warm heat from the hilts of your axe, and it glows as Riva flies overhead. And then as a bonus action, I want to use Holy Aura, which is... use that. Holy Aura, 30-foot radius around me. Creatures of your choice in that radius when you cast this spell have advantage on all saving throws, and creatures have disadvantage on attack rolls. I don't know if I'd be able to use
you're going to be
that,
flying up a little bit too high. That's not going to really affect much of the battlefield below. Because if you are that close, then the trees will be able to just reach up and grab you or do other ensnaring actions.
If I use distance spell to double it, because it's 30 feet.
See, 60 feet? Well, you're going into the forest, so you're going to be leaving everybody behind. So it doesn't really matter if you distance it. In this round, you are flying off on your own, potentially a mile or 2 miles into the forest.
Yeah, never mind. I thought I could like kind of cast it as like a pinpoint on someone else, but it says self. Never mind. Yeah, but Mort gets the holy axe.
Sure.
Meanwhile,
January?
January's got a page of notes flapping in the wind, and he's checking the arcane signatures in the forest against this like big sheet that he's been working on for years.
Do you want to give me an investigation? Yeah, there you go.
Cool.
What did you get?
19.
19. The problem is that it is so, looking at it from up here, there's too much noise. There's too much chaos. You can't get a pinpoint on where you would think, obviously, go to the center of the forest, but you're not really sure. Even the center of the forest, when you look at your map and you're like, oh, right here would be a good spot if I was to do something, and you guys are just making it past, and you would like, oh, there's nothing but a small village that was there that has since been sacrificed and eaten. You didn't quite hit it. Investigating burning, screaming trees at nighttime is a bit difficult. So this round, no quite leads just yet. But while you guys are flying overhead, you do see that the Thistlefuries do not, they seem to sense life inherently. And they try, they fail, but you see vines and tentacles race up out of the trees as they like try to grab you from the night sky and pull you down into them. You guys are just a little bit too high in flying, and you're just making it in, but you know that this is a possibility.
Since I didn't use Holy Aura, I still have a bonus action. Could I use Quicken Spell to, as I see this thing try to come for us, would I be able to... Wait, how does concentration work? Can I not cast any spells?
Oh, don't worry about it. If you want to cast a spell, go ahead.
Concentration.
All right, cool. Can I cast Firebolt?
You can't have 2 concentration. Yeah, you can cast Firebolt.
Awesome. I want to shoot Firebolt at it.
Sure. Go ahead and do some damage and double it.
Oh, do the damage?
Yeah, double your damage because it's fire for this.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, don't worry about rolling to hit.
It's forest.
Yeah, it's forest. It's like hitting a broadside of the barn. I'm not going to make you guys make checks onto that just yet.
Oh boy. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 times 2 is 4. Oh no, I'm not good at math.
Don't worry about it. I got it. As you send this streaking firebolt, as you send this streaking bolt of fire down, it's like a missile hitting into the city, or hitting into a creature. You hear the screech, rocks explode out. Even as you're flying, you can feel a bit of like peppered chunks of bark hit your face, as the thing exploded when your energy combined with it. Fire starts racing through another part of the city, and to you guys outside, you see that the red dragon had burned the first line, and already on the inside, you see another wall of fire starting to appear. In the distance behind them, there are more shadowed faces, even from the sides, far outside of your little barricade, starting to slowly lumber out as they come. Now, on my turn, I have this little crit dice up here, don't I? I am going to use this one little crit dice. And while this red dragon was there, what's your armor class? Oh, wait, I don't need it. I'm critting automatically. Ha ha! So you look down and you see one seedling crawl out that had dodged your fire, bite in the middle of your claw right here at the web of your dragon footing. and quickly it embeds itself into your palm or into your hand and starts burrowing in all the way up in you. And this happens at the speed you can feel it, like you don't take much damage yet. You only take 7 points of damage, but you feel it racing in your arm, like moving up. And the thing is you look and you see out of the ground, out of the snow, hundreds more of these little guys start peering out, like little, as they've come up from the dead, ambered, and twisted trees that are now gone. All that's left is little seed sprouts that start running towards the pair of you. Now, Mort, I'm out of crits, so what's your AC? You were
AC
muted,
is
but
20.
I'm going to assume I do not miss. I do not hit you. One of the little ones gets up on your face and you grab it with your hand, and its teeth are gnawing at you. It has no eyes, but it is definitely a hungry, vicious, evil little creature with no semblance of morality. And it is now your guys' turn. The dogs, the Legionnaires, they did cut the one dog out so that the rest of the dog sled could run away. The dog that got infected, you see that the eldritch green energy is starting to crackle just behind its eyes and in its fangs, as it seems to like be distorting and shape changing itself.
With that, just quickly taking a javelin, hucking it at that thing, spending that nat 20.
Okay.
So as it's shape changing, that'll be an additional 18 damage to it.
18. Unerringly and horrible. The dog takes, as it's quickly becoming no longer a dog, and this javelin bounces into it, and it still seems to like use it as that wood on that molds into it, and it starts becoming one of the Thistle Furies at a rapid pace. And now you know what the Thistle Furies do and how these seedlings work. This is the real crux of your problem. Anything they infect will quickly become a Thistle Fury, which could spawn more seedlings. You're not here containing a forest, you're containing a plague.
With that, I still have a bonus action and another attack as part of the attack action.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, you still got plenty.
with that, it's just looking at that and seeing the transformation. How dare! I'm gonna wear your pelvis as a crown! And rushes off with both axes hewing into this thing at the same time.
Axes. All right, 1 second. The thing starts trying to run as it's in the middle of shape changing away from you as you are barreling down upon it. And it doesn't know speech yet, but it's starting to shriek and howl as it's trying to get over this 20-foot gap that you guys have put there. But you, this little dwarf, is running up to it as it's getting bigger, but it seems to be trying to run away from you. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Yay, all these damn dice. I love you and I hate you, Cole. More work. Oh, sweet. Sweet bejesus.
If it's sweet bejesus level damage, I think I know where this is going.
That is 64.
This has no problem slicing through this creature as you hack it once, twice, 3 times, and you kick this thing into the trench, which is a good thing that you do, because when it hits the trench, out of the ashes and parts that are exploding, the flesh still bubbles. The creature's eldritch energy, this green blast that's coming out of its fangs, seems to try to grab and infect other things around it, and it tries to spawn other seedlings, and it does so. And you see these little seedlings start crawling out of the dead parts of it that are left, and then starting to crawl up the trench. But the seedlings are very terrible climbers. But you definitely put this down, and at the moment, Red Dragon, Fallen Legion, and you guys have no other infections on your side of the camp. You've held the line for now, but your flanks are definitely getting... things are coming out to the sides. But there's nobody behind you at the moment. So, Red Dragon, where would you like to focus? Left or right?
I'm gonna focus left. I need to see if my breath comes back. It does not, so I don't have breath. But I do have wings that I'm going to beat furiously.
Sure.
Wind isn't as effective, but it'll do something.
Oh, no. Absolutely. I'm going to make a check right here and give me a... I dropped a D20. I get disadvantage. So I'm just going to say it. You go to start slowing down to the left flank, and you just kick up a ton of snow right back into these creatures. And they don't really have eyes, so they shouldn't affect them. But the wind and the chill and the extra terrain difficulty that they have to march through definitely slows down to the left flank. And so the Legionnaires could go after the right flank if you wish, Mort. Or you can make the tactical choice to kill the left flank and chase up to the right flank.
Kill them. Kill them all.
Kill. Okay. The Legionnaires on their dog sleds, they race around to the other side through the extra snow with the extra wind at their backs, and they are unloading every bit of eldritch energy that they have. You see Lacroix with his massive hammer jump off one of the dog sleds and just do very barbarian-esque, just like you, beats one thing's head in as he just takes it to the ground and just keeps pounding. Fate, though, comes up and like skids on the snow over him, takes her shield and like blocks one of the impacts from a Thistle Fury that's there. Other Legionnaires get involved a little bit closer now to start actually taking down the big Thistle Furies. When the little ones are coming up, the dogs actually start racing and pouncing and killing and eating the little Thistle Furies before they become a problem. And so the Legionnaires quickly adapt to this changing landscape, which gives us to Riva and January. What are you guys up to up here? You're flying through. You've made distance that you needed to go to anyway, but you still haven't found a sign of something that you're looking for.
I think that January remembers that he has written half of the notes on this sheet that, again, it's flapping in the wind in invisible ink. I'm going to cast See Invisibility, spend this crit here, and give another go at finding where the source of this might be coming from.
It entirely works, right? You're flying and you're like, oh yeah, it's totally in this visible ink. That's it. It was right here, and you also had it upside down. There was actually a book called Nature's Dance by Dagny Farrell that you picked up this little bit when you were in your small town of Yonkath. But right in there is a spot in the Shrieking Forest that is slightly to the western part that is a grove about dealing with the Feywild, particularly a devil patron that is a devil patron that notoriously inhabited this area. And so you figure that if something was going down, it would clearly be in this nature devil's area. And you're able to point out where that's at, and since you guys are flying, you guys are able to get over this area. And Riva, when you look down where January is pointing, you can see that in the trees near the middle, all of the forest trees have book pages like nailed into them, and there is a small pyre and mountain of bodies of local settlers and animals, and this is clearly where you would need to be. You might have to go down to ground though and investigate.
Should we head down? I say to
Of course.
January. I'll
Not fear.
swoop down, obviously not in the middle of all of that.
Yeah, let's not land on the
Just
pile
on the
of,
outside.
but just on the outside.
Just right in there.
And you are, as you are a sorcerer and a wizard each, you can feel that this area is drawing energy. Even when your feet touch the ground, you feel that you each lose 3 spell slots as the ground itself siphons energy out of you from within here. You feel yourself like tied to the land, and it's like, whoa. The middle bit with, you look around at all of these trees and you see that they have, each of them, something stapled to it. And I will, Riva, give me a perception or investigation check yourself. Or sorry, perception. This is to notice something.
Oh, okay. Perception?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. That is a 16.
Well, right off the bat, you can't make out any specific spaces, but at the bodies of each of the trees, you see like slumped over on the ground, and their corpses are a bit desiccated, like they've been drained of energy. You see members of the Accursed Guard, actually. So, with that, we go to the top of the round, as the forest is going to get crushed on the left flank, but a sea of seedlings and the right side of the flank is going to start breaking away from the pact, making their way towards the city of Yonkath, ignoring their fallen companions. The forests in the trees or the forests on the left flank where you're beating your wings at, they are engaged in just straight up battle back with what's there as they're being put down. And since you are still okay, Red Dragon, you feel your arm continuing to hurt as you're up there flapping your wings, and out of your back, you start, Mort, you're there, you start seeing big droplets of blood hit the ground from above you. And you look up, your dragon, she's beating her wings, but she is starting to bleed heavier and heavier, and it looks like her back is starting, the pores on it are starting to rip open from the inside as more seedlings start spawning from her all along her ridge. Take your hit points and cut them in half as you explode and are incapacitated this turn, collapsing to the ground right in front of Mort with just hundreds of seedlings pulling out of your back. Mort, your action.
Barking another order. Fate, get your shiny buttocks up here! And fire at all the skirmishers! And then I'm going to turn and just play Will It Blend with the ceilings. And
There,
just try and buy time for both Twinkle and try and clear a little bit of a path for Fate to make their way up here.
and entering a battle with a swarm of these guys is totally okay, but I'm going to see if any of them hit you as you run through them. And you, being a well-armored individual, seem to be a little bit more immune when the DM doesn't have free crit dice to hit you guys.
Fun fact, he's not wearing any armor.
Oh, that's funny. All right.
That's how
Your
RPGs work. The less you're wearing, the better the armor.
Right, with the power of your beard alone, you and intimidation, they avoid you as you start cleaning them off. And it looks like, how many hit points did you lose as a dragon? Do you have a chance to know off your hand?
125.
Right. So she spawns easily 12 of these little buggers that pop out of her and come racing towards you as you're the closest one. None of these guys are going to hit you. They don't have a chance in hell. But you buy time. Fate quickly leaves LaCroix to her own devices, and she shoots over a fireball in your direction, which ignites on the back of this red dragon, singes your beard a little bit. But where there was once 12 little guys, after you already cut a horde of them off, there are now none. You feel nice and warm, though, but you are a red dragon, so the fireball over your back doesn't hurt you so much. But you still feel it in your arm. What do?
I gotta claw that sucker out. I'm literally gonna take my claw and I'm gonna, like, run it along my own arm to open it up so I can pull this little sucker out.
Give me an attack roll.
Okay. Dice. Oh, come on, Twinkle! As a red dragon, that's, math, please. 22. Which is more than my own AC if you're counting it as an attack against myself.
You can. Now, here's the king. Give me a medicine or a skill check that you think is appropriate. Maybe sleight of hand if you think so. Something appropriate to actually worm around between the sinews and muscle of your own arm.
I can take medicine. Medicine will work. My dice are cursed today. 7.
You dig around and that little bugger runs up. Mort, you see its face like appear out of like her elbow briefly as like the red dragon scale skin seems to like morph into like the way this creature is as it swims further up her arm and closer towards the red dragon's heart. Now, that's your guys' actions. We get back to our sorcerer and wizard team. You are here on the ground. You've landed. You see that there's a cursed guard that have been drained. You know that they are wizards and warlocks or warlocks themselves. You already feel the ground draining your presence. You have to stop the ritual in some way. It looks like it's already been done. But what do you guys have for an idea? What do you think might be the cause, or how do you stop this?
I kick at one of the accursed guard corpses. Look at Riva. Should I try and see what he has to say for himself?
Oh yeah, if you can do that.
Ooh, I like this.
My armor, probably headbutt the crushing in skull and cast Speak with the Dead.
All right, this corpse, its eyes like become lucid just again briefly. Yes, who summons?
Soldier, the plan's not working. How does this thing? How do we get this ritual to complete?
Sorry, I got things in my throat. The new member of the accursed guard, he was supposed to bring the rest of the bodies. Where is that conscript, Iggy?
How many bodies was he supposed to bring?
We need another 100 to finish the ritual.
to appease the devil.
He like throws the body down to the ground, marches off.
Where is the
pissed
devil?
off. Or I mean,
Where's
throws
the
the body to the yeah.
Oh, what was your
and then
question?
picks it back up.
Where is the devil?
Oh, when he picks back up, he's like, the devil. He's in Yonkoth, in the Scarlet Hearth, or the King's Court right now. I don't know. The king cut a deal with him. Sacrifice enough people, and he would grant the king power. But we ran out of bodies. So we were trying to get people from within. Grab some of the dogs from the Legionnaires. That'll work, right?
Is there any
Do
way
you
we
have
can get
any
the forest to
recommendations
stop
for him?
cooperating?
A deal was struck. A price has to be paid. Somebody must be sacrificed. You need to sacrifice 100 more to silence the forest.
Bastard.
And we get to, while you guys think and chew up onto this information that you have discovered. And you know, as wizards and sorcerers, once a deal, like with a genie or a patron or a creature, you are dealing with high magic at this point. There is no turn off button. There's no, there's nothing that you can press in here to turn this off. The trees are animated because the trees are animated because this pact has been created. So the only way to get them to stop going to get what is rightfully theirs is 100 more creatures sacrificed to them. Now, or you burn the whole forest. But even then, that probably won't stop it. But I'll let you guys relay that information back to in character as you guys are outside. The forests are some of the forest continue to break off and race towards Yonkoth, at least slowly. The dog sleds are more than capable to catch up to them, but they're still engaged, putting out the rest of the left flank. There is still more people, more trees, more aberrant horrors coming from within, and so this moment is happening. And when fate is there, comes over to you, what do you want to do? Is you know you might only have rounds left before this thing gets to your heart. The state of the battle is looking good, but these things are deadly.
Emergency surgery, and I'm just going to holler as this is a giant red dragon. This is going to be a leaping attack. Going to see where that thing is, spend the nat 20 to embed my axe and then embed it in it.
Okay, go ahead and give me your critical. With that critical strike, you leap up there. You actually bounce off, like Shade holds her shield, so you could bounce, or Fate holds your shield, so you could bounce off it, jump up, and slice this creature right as it's like near the dragon's collarbone. Is where you see it swimming along, and because you are getting a critical hit, I just need you to roll 1 hit point worth of damage. Which you're naturally going to do. You feel it hit and latch in, but I do need you to actually roll the damage because you're also hitting your dragon friend.
This is the downside of being a barbarian, because the weapon gets multiple dice now. So that'll be 35.
Okay. Yeah, it's that you take this big gash in through you, and it's not that this thing gets crushed. You're able to like reach in, pull this little seedling out, and practically rip its head off and chuck it as you land back into the snow. The biggest ally you guys seem to have that you realize when you're fighting these are actually your dogs. When the big creatures fall and they spawn these, if your dogs are with you and you give them direction, they will bite and eat these things before they start infecting. So this is one thing you really start realizing, because when you grabbed it and you bit its head off, it's not like touching the thing infects you. It's something that the creature itself does. So if you kill them quick enough, they're not a threat.
With that moment, would like to spend the essentially rest of the thing, quick order, just holler out, "Unleash the hounds!"
The legionnaires who are engaged in battle absolutely start letting their hounds off their sleds, and like wolves and trained creatures, some of the legionnaires are druids and rangers themselves, and you can recognize that they have been casting cure magic, healing, protecting their creatures, and doing everything they can to help them. But working into this tactic, the legionnaires will shift to killing the trees themselves and letting the dogs clean up the seedlings. But it is the red dragon's turn. What do you do now? There is a flank that has gotten out.
Given that I unfortunately still don't have my fire breath back, that's just frustrating. I want to just like swoop into the swath of them and just start going freaking ham. I just tail, claws, bend down and bite things. I'm just going nuts.
Absolutely. Give me, because you're racing into that horde alone, make all of your attacks, but at the end of them, I need you to give me 3 dexterity saving throws.
Okay. $19, natural 20, and then and then I think I get one more if I can, and that's like 26 or something like that. So there's that. I'm gonna use my crit on one of my dex saving throws.
Okay.
And then here come the other 2. That's a failure, probably. It's a 6. And then a 4.
Okay, so you go diving in, and there is a moment of rampaging and red dragon badassness. It's kind of a metal sight when you look over, and like this red dragon is taking on this flank of trees by itself. But slowly but surely, the more you fight and claw and rip, the trees and the thistle furies that are there, you find yourself, you go to pick up your arm and you find it pinched into the ground. You find yourself entangled more and more by the thistle furies, so that even your own movement is becoming drastically impaired. And in this moment, you get a plot reveal. You, as a creature that's connected to the Feywild, and this is also in part because Talsius did the thing, which means we get to tell you some awesome plots. You are connected to these horrors, and you see a scene that you guys would have never otherwise seen. This isn't part of the actual written adventure, but it's something that I can tell you as the writer on the intent of how this went down. And you see a throne room in the trees. Like, the trees are connected to Yonkoth at this moment. And you see Dorian, the accursed king, his arms wrapped up in bandages, sitting on a throne with this cult, this Caress of the Void group, these people that worship the Elder Ones. have been whispering and that are whispering into the ear of the king, saying, just sacrifice them. Help the Feywild. The Feywild is chaos. It's an agent of chaos. Let it be unchecked. Who are you? You are no longer a mortal man. And there's a devil satyr. He's like, oh, baby, I 100% agree. All you have to do is give me another 100 souls, and I will make sure that your agriculture goes on for days. And this devil and the king is there. You see that he has got so many different patrons telling him something to do. And the king is like both at the same time furious, but you can see it into the trees. He struck the deal, and they will not stop until there's 100 more there. This pact has been made, but you see that it was the other patrons that have perhaps done something to warrant this chaos. Right. To our sorcerer team, what do you guys do?
We have to go back and help them.
And without a word, I'll roll for it. I don't know if I'm gonna... No. Okay. I'm going to scoop up January and make our way back where Mort and Twinkle are.
If you guys are just going back, I'm going to give you a second round of actions, just for, just say that you guys catch a good headwind on the way back, and so it's going to take you a little bit less time, because you do see that there still is they still have a lot of work to do. They will probably be fighting for a longer portion of the night to win this battle, unless they choose to sacrifice the 100 legionnaires. But I will say that for the sake... Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that as we're flying, like, I'll periodically sending off, like, firebolts.
Oh, yeah. The fire that you do put into the woods, the fact that you're able to... And fireballs in particular, they are extremely effective at stopping others from coming out of forest at times, to at least limit how much they'll have to fight when they're out there. But I will let you guys get back out there this turn. You see that the red dragon has been entangled and wrapped up. And on the tree turns, do you guys see these lovely critical dice that I have? I'm going to cash both of them in, as they're going to drop 4 seedlings that are going to dive into this red dragon this turn. While the red dragon is entangled, you take only under 8 points of damage, but these seedlings are coming into you. You guys come on out there, and you see that, like, while the legionnaires are doing a really good job fighting with Mort and, like, Lacroix and Fate around one flank, it's almost like the trees are conducting their own horrifying ritual on this creature that is filled with life and a ton of hit points. So, I have taken my action. It is your guys' turn.
Swing both axes.
You guys could do some role play and talk. You guys can do some play that's like not like straight up combat level. Like I'm in rounds, but I'm not really in rounds, if you know what I mean. Because you're in the middle of a whole combat.
Yeah, I'm just going to move around to Twinkle's head and just go. If you can still shift, Pixie, now. Get small.
There's a moment, and like there's something in her eyes that's just like she's ready to die right here. but she makes eye contact with him, snarls, huffs smoke out of her nose, and shape changes down into a pixie.
Funny enough, this actually works better than you could have expected. As you shapeshift down into a pixie, they cannot shapeshift with you. And so there are 4 very fast moving and very living seedlings that plop in the snow right near Mort.
Just swiftly, 1, 2, 3, and half-acidly punts the last one.
All right. For this one, I actually am going to make you make the attack rolls to see if you hit these little buggers. I'm pretty sure you will, given that you're a barbarian who's raging, with this. But if one of these guys gets away, that's actually going to be a potentially horrific thing.
I would like to use the help action.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
I don't need damage. I just need to know that you hit. If you roll underneath an armor class of 13, let me know.
I would have to roll a 1.
Okay, if you roll a 1, let me know.
I did not. I got a
Okay.
22, 27, and 28. And
Okay.
then for the half-ass
As-
punt, 16.
It's good.
Bunt. You guys have a moment now. The trees. This flank still needs to be put down, but the 4 of you are together momentarily, and have a brief respite to roleplay with each other. You see Riva come landing down with her wings. The dragon turns into this pixie, and January's got this whole scroll of information that he's rolling back up, and looks like he definitely has something to say.
Mm-hmm. We've discovered that the cursed king sold out his legionnaires. There was a ritual demanding 100 bodies. It's about how many bodies that we've brought in.
Color me fucking surprised. Okay. So, you're the magic folk. How do we stop this?
We can't. The price has to be paid.
The deal's been struck.
I ain't paying for nothing. Wait,
And none of these folks should either.
I'd like to do something stupid. You guys, you know about the occult. Who's a big nasty that can use a dwarf that refuses to die? I want to make a deal.
Ooh, if you want to make a deal with the patron, you will gladly find plenty. Fate is a great advocate. She can put you in touch with anybody.
I need somebody with juice. Enough to burn a forest down to seal the deal.
Fate upon, actually, no. While you're even thinking about this, in the middle of this forest, one of the trees that was like binding you guys up nearby, one of the trees stops upon hearing this. And out of it is this satyr-looking devil with a vest on and like a small pocket watch steps out, and he's the same satyr from your vision. He steps out, goes, I hear somebody's looking for a deal in my domain.
I don't like the cut of your jib, and immediately throw axe.
Okay, yeah, the axe hits, his head comes off, like right away, flops to the ground. The head looks and goes, well, that's gonna leave a mark. Not really. And his body just sizzles and fades away as his avatar is killed.
And just looking up, screaming to the heavens, "Which of you hate this Ponce's ass?"
To hearing this, Fate absolutely makes her way over to you with the dog sleds and says, "Listen."
In the spirit of keeping this feral, and Riva not particularly trusting patrons, especially after hearing all of this, could Riva step forward?
Yes. Actually, even just you having that look in your eyes, you see that Fate is kind of picking up what you're picking up. And Fate looks and comes in and says, "Listen, I know that you want to cut a deal, but cutting a deal in desperation is the worst spot to be in. Riva," Fate looks to you. Do you have? Do you think you'd be willing to help us here?
Yes. If you're going to cut a deal, at least cut a deal with someone who's on your side.
Now, I can register you with the Well of Souls. We can go there at a point and put yourself there on the wall of patrons so you can cut these deals. We don't have that time for it now, but I can show you how to cheat if you're okay with the cheating just this once.
Looks around to the everything. I don't think there's time for paperwork, considering this.
I get it. And Fate will sheath her sword, and she will pull out a tome and quickly open it up to a page. And you see in here, there are letters, just letters of people that have joined the Legionnaire of the Fallen, come to the city. She just has a lot of them. And she pulls out one letter, and it's for Riva. And do me a favor. I want you, do you have your letter home handy, Riva?
I do.
Fate pulls out your letter and hands it to you and says, "The way to cheat is to read this letter out loud so that those who hear its words may have that connection with you, and then burn it."
Dearest Alea, I promised you that I would bring our daughter home at any cost. It took years, much longer than I thought it would, but together we brought her home. We made a place for us, ourselves, fought tooth and nail to get here. It was hard and at times painful, but knowing you were at my side gave me strength to see this through. You both are my light in my world, and soon I will be home with you. I have one more task to complete. Luzarius calls upon me to bring someone back from the brink of darkness. I do not know the full extent of his desire or whom I am to save, but I know once I complete this task, I will return to you and Cheyenne. I'm sorry that this means more time away. I love you so much. I will return from this task and we'll be together again soon, my love. With eternal love and light, your wife, Riva.
And as you light the letter of flame, everyone here finds that they have a connection with Riva, that they could ask for a favor, and you have the power to grant this favor. You yourself feel that you have paid a great cost, even if you're not sure of what that is yet. Fate herself cries just a little bit as your letter burns. But you feel a power here in the Shadelands, through the land itself. The same power that was drawing from you when you were in the middle of the forest is now seeming to flow the other way, and you seem to have the power from there. Now, as a patron, if you guys would like to form a pact with Riva, what boon would you ask her for?
I'm going to ask for something too much. I'm going to let you redirect.
Okay.
I want you to claim this forest and send the patron asshole that lives here straight to hell.
This is actually a perfectly acceptable favor to ask. Now, you, as this work, your eyes are ablaze with fire as you are ascending in this divine sorcery. And it's this beautiful, white, radiant flame that's coming out of your eyes along with your wings. And you look at this forest and you know that this little smarmy devil that cut himself a deal for this domain, you could lay claim to it. And even just you laying claim to it is enough to stop this war or this sacrifice at the moment. You'll have to debate it in court later with him, so you're going to have to tackle that at a later point. But in order to seal this deal, you must ask Mort for a favor in return. What would you ask of him? And it must be something that you actually need done.
Who do you care about?
My fellow Badgers. Their family. The one I found.
Protect them at any cost.
Done.
And this is your ban. As this deal is sealed, you feel that you have a connection to the energies in these lands, and the letters ashes fall to the ground. You have taken the steps and become this party's patron, or at least one of the members. You, because you have claim to this territory as bound by the rules set forth from the accursed king, the trees stop moving. The aberrant horrors in this one, they don't disappear, they don't die, they just wait because there's a contest here. Another patron has gotten involved. And as everything gets eerily quiet, you are back to the sound of a dog rustling with a seedling that it's growling and eating the thing apart, and like comes over to Mort a little bit happy as Pumpkin wags its tail, surviving the entire battlefield with 2 or 3 dead seedlings as its mouth is a gift of like, I am a good boy, yes?
Just gets
The
down and hugs the dog and just rustles it.
the Legionnaires are happy as hell, but the Lacroix, upon hearing that the accursed king has sold them out, says, I know that sacrifices are needed, and I know that we have to do at times something undesirable. But the reason us Legionnaires exist are to protect those who do not want to be sacrifices, who are there to stop these things from going on. This is too far. If the accursed king has crossed this line, then his head needs to be on a platter, and a new king should be born. And the Legionnaires in this snowfall, you sense that there's a silent agreement with him, but fate, ever the voice of reason, says it must be the patrons. I know Dorian, he's a good man. He might not necessarily have gone this far yet. Maybe we should capture the Scarlet Hearth, and if we can cut off the patrons' energy, now that we have one of our own, we can at least force their hand in negotiation and attempt to rebalance things.
Would your
And
chances improve
Lacroix
if you
said,
had 2?
yes.
2 patrons.
The more that we have on our side, the better we would be.
I think I can do that. You have my letter in
She
there,
starts
don't you?
flipping. She starts flipping the book for your letter. And right as she's doing this, Lacroix pulls out a ring and gets down onto his knees and says, Fate, I know we have never spoken about this too much. I know that the time seems awkward, but battle
Slug
is
'em.
when he's
just
actually
haul
quick.
off and slug him.
He's quick enough, and he's also a legendary level character. So he catches your hand, and Fate does quickly at the same moment close the box and say, "Now's not the time." And he's like, "But you could be my queen." And she's like, "I don't want to. You are my friend. We have bigger matters at stake." And she
Darling,
pushes
she's
it away.
just not that into you.
Yeah, some of the Legionnaires are all like, oh, there's a cringe moment. And so Fate quickly shuffles the book to get to the letter, and you get handed your letter. And as you get a chance to read yours and burn yours if you wish to become a patron.
My dearest Azaki, believe me when I say I am already feeling guilty for what I am about to do. We have a happy life here, and to leave it for such selfish reasons, I would not blame you if you turn me away when I return. I've had a series of visions for a couple months now. All of them involve Freki, my late husband, and what happened to him. Shortly after this, I received a letter with a job offer which will take me where my vision showed, and for the first time in 15 years, I think I have been given a real chance to bring Fenrir to justice. I know we tried. I know we failed. I know I said I was ready to move on. At the time, I was sure I was. But with this new information given to me, I realize now that I was always waiting for an excuse to try again. I'm leaving you this letter because when you wake, I will be gone. I ask you not to come with me, though I know you would without question. I would not leave our son an orphan, should the worst come to pass, not as I once was. That is, I understand, no excuse not to ask for help from my fathers, my brother, my sister, or any of the other members of our vast extended family. However, as I have always believed, this hunt is mine, and mine alone. Tell Daddy my absence does not mean under any circumstances that he can stop taking his medication. Papa can get more from Lou, but I've already left him 2 weeks' supply. Tell Kama not to feel bad. I caught her following me. I know she will, and I know I will catch her in the act. It's played out this way too many times. Tell Papa not to worry, that I know he will anyway. Tell him also that I will sing the song he wrote me as I travel. Tell Jerry only that I will remember his lessons. And though I know he is too young to understand the words, tell Kian that I love him very much, and no matter what will happen in the coming days, that I will always be his mother. I have no right to ask you not to be angry at me, but I hope you will understand that this is something I need to do, and I need to do it before I am appointed Archdruid, before I have the entire tribe and all its clans depending on me. I love you. Please do not ever forget that. Twinkle.
As you burn the letter, Fate is nearly sobbing as she says, your sacrifice was too great for your ascension. I am sorry. And because we are going to end here, and the journey would continue with you investigating what happens and why you become patrons, in this snowfall with the Aurora Borealis in the distance, knowing that capturing the Scarlet Hearth to have a chance of strangling the patron's energy for the time, getting involved with the battle and the civil war that is happening in Yonkoth, when the letter is burned, everybody in the letter and everybody who ever knew your character and who they were forgets you ever existed. And in this journey, in this story, if this game was to continue on, your mission would be to find a way to stop becoming a patron, to get your life back that you had just lost. Because what is death in the Shadelands, and what is death anywhere other than being forgotten? The Red Opera is a tragic opera tale, as one of the patrons is exploring how do you get gods to kill themselves? You make them forgotten. And this mystery and the twists and turns and the plots that are there are the rest of the acts in this adventure. I hope you guys have had a lot of fun. But this would be the opening act of the Red Opera to set up the conspiracy and tragedy and story that follows. There's no set ending. Even after this adventure, there's like 3 or 4 side quests that the players could all go do before they go on to the next thing. It's set with a bunch of like a 10-story plot beat with different branching side quests. And at the ending is the final fate of the Shadelands. And what happens is 100% determined by player agency, because we believe in multiple choice endings, that the players at your table get to determine the final fate. So the music and the soundtrack that is with this campaign was created by the metal band Dia Morte, and it was scored in full symphony that you could run the game to while you're doing it. I hope you guys had fun. 2 letters, and the idea of you guys becoming patrons by burning the letters as level 20 characters is something that I kind of thought to explore and put into the book, but I guarantee you I definitely am, as we're in the middle of trying to unlock our stretch goal on the guide for patrons. Because a lot of running high tier content is about allowing choices and consequence with bigger epic scales, not just so much about like, you know, hey, I can take 6 actions around, you know? Did you guys have fun?
Yes.
That was nuts, dude.
That was
Cool.
so cool. And so like even though the party was split, like that whole part was just like super freaking cool. Like the whole
I'd love to continue exploring this idea of like January as like this wizard who's like here to like really, no, you guys are all best like, foiling and spoiling warlock plans and secrets with like learning how their magic works. The 2 of you as patrons getting involved in incredibly political aspects of cutting deals with favors and getting other warlocks yourselves. Imagine you could grow into it. And then obviously Mort, who would be the party's like, you know, ground heel in this of like, oh no, that king's going down. Until you find out Iggy is an accursed guard warlock, and you just made a pact that you'd have to protect him at all costs. So a system of favors. I had a blast. I think we're supposed to do the like, hey, let's do the shout outs and everything where everybody can find everybody.
Yeah, this is the part where we have come to an unfortunate, bitter but exciting end. This was absolutely amazing. So we'll go around probably in reverse order. Tell where we can find you guys, upcoming projects, and Chaos Chorus. It's only 3K away from this next stretch goal. Go! Fly, my pretties, fly! As for me, it's Pope. I lurk in all of your streams. Pope World Bill on Twitter, Pope World Bill on the Twitch. I'm going to try not to hold too much court here. If you want to see more of my ridiculous face, tune in to Matev7's channel this Sunday, where you find another one. As we go back to Sunset City with Masks, A New Generation. Tune in for the Misfits. Also, this Friday, you should be here, 9 p.m. Eastern, for the finale of Wild and Chaotic. So, speaking about Wild and Chaotic, Celeste, where can we find you?
Hi, Hi, I'm Celeste PLS on Twitter with way too many underscores on Twitter. I'm Celeste Shepherd here on Twitch. Don't do a whole lot of streamings on my own, but my face pops up on other people's streams, like that aforementioned Masks game that Pope was talking about. I'm there with him. You might also find me in some Twitch chats, thirsting over some vampires. Definitely come watch the end of Wild and Chaotic. It's been a ride. It's been fantastic. But yeah, I don't really have a whole lot going on right this second, but stay tuned because I might be in some things. We'll see. Wow, this was great. I had such a great time, and I got to play one of my, I know we're not supposed to have favorites, but she's my favorite. I love her so much. She's so dramatic.
People want to play their characters. One of the things that we wanted to do when we wrote this was allow people to take their existing characters, even if they hit high tier that they have history with, and give them an awesome adventure. So yes, play your favorite characters, run your favorite campaign settings, because that's what's awesome about game.
And speaking of awesome, Cole, where can we find you?
Hey, howdy, hey, you can find me at Cole Moriel on Twitter. You can also catch me on Friends Who Roll Dice, which you should totally check out on Twitter because starting Friday, we are kicking off our fundraising month. We are raising money for RAIN and Earth Day organization, and we will have incentives for our stream, so you can make crazy things happen in the games that we're going to be playing. We're playing a whole bunch of horror-themed games. So every Friday, we're going to be playing in those. And then November 1st, on All Hallows Day, we're going to be doing a 13-hour spoopy stream. And yeah, so signups just closed for that, but be sure to tune in. We have a whole bunch of really fun guests and creators running games, playing in their games for the first time. It's going to be a wild ride. It's going to be a very busy month. And yeah, so you can check out my Twitter, their Twitter, and let's raise money for some people in need. RAIN is an organization that helps survivors of domestic violence and people stuck in very bad situations, which during quarantine and during the COVID crisis, a lot of people are affected by it. So let's help where we can, and hashtag roll with your heart.
Thank you. And by all means, folks, if you can give, please do. And if not, just support by doing a retweet, liking. Again, if we build each other up, nothing can stop us. Speaking of unstoppable, hey, Dev, how you doing?
Hey, doing well. I'm Dev. Thanks for this. This was such a fun little adventure. I was worried bringing in this character that was trying to get out of deals, that maybe I would be playing against the setting. And then immediately you're like, well, here's this whole army of people who also are trying to get out of deals and want to find out more about you. And so that was, the setting has such exciting layers and different ways to engage with it. So I found that really fun. I'm Dev Presto on Twitter, also on Twitch, plotting and scheming online. So keep your eye out. I've got a few projects in the works, but nothing to announce just yet. But yeah, thanks for a great adventure.
Thank you for playing.
Thank you, Dev. And on that note of more projects, I just want to quickly plug the Encounter Roleplay Discord. Sign-ups for the new season can be found therein. So by all means, if you want to experience something as awesome as this, please hop in there, join the community, be a part, and you can find the links down in there for sign-ups. And new season should start on the 26th of October, so there's some time, but right before the spoops, the casting will happen. And speaking of spoops, Rick, you're absolutely magnificent, and thank you for bringing this gothic layered story to us and letting us be a part of this. This is incredible.
If you get a chance, check out the music that Di Morte had done that goes with the campaign. You can find the artwork was done by David and Carlos over at Apotheos Studios. I know we didn't get a chance to share screen, but there is, we saw it in the trailer. All of the artwork was done by them. They're amazing. The layout artist, Sharon, they are unsung heroes, the RPGs. But we're in the final day of Kickstarter. So we are at theredopera.com, where it takes you right to the Kickstarter. Links are already there. But as for me, you can find me at Cranky Bolt on the internet, and I do have some crazy projects coming up. Books, if you like urban fantasy, I am a writer. My first novel just got published by Prince of the idea of it is sarcastic urban fantasy about the end of the world. What happens? Everybody in the world could eat the heart of a magical creature after summoning it, and nothing can possibly go wrong with that shift of balance. So it's sarcastic urban fantasy about the end of the world. The sequel, Dystopia, is also coming out next year, and that's all about what happens when magic returns and companies brand it. It's like Shadowrun crossed with today's world. So that's what I write. I will be on Drinking with Authors at October 28th. And tomorrow I'm doing a podcast stream with Quathis, QUALTHS. I'll link it on Twitter. It'll be a thing. Follow me there. But it's on consent and gaming in horror specifically. I tend to run and write a lot of horror games and tend to be doing Dread and other like White Wolf or vampire games. Obviously, that's why when I brought the Red Opera into D&D, I tend to go more towards that Ravenloft or Ravnica or those other settings that have more politics to them. But consent and horror and gaming as we get into October should be a real topic of conversation. So come join and listen tomorrow. And there's your card. Yep, I got it. But yeah, otherwise, that's where you find me.
Thank you. Definitely, again, I have the website. There's 23 hours to go. So if this seems to be in your wheelhouse, go support these tremendous people and this beautiful piece of art that all these artists have come together to create, to allow you to create your own stories and your own art. And as for consent and horror, yes. Communication is the key to good storytelling. And on that note, thank you all for coming, watching, being a part of this, where it's live, VOD, YouTube. You're as much a part of this story as we are, for stories are meant to be shared. And thank you for sharing this one with us. Till next time, folks, take care. See you soon.
When magic exists, killing an enemy becomes complicated. Necromancers fiddle and foil assassins' plans, healers treat the poisoned and cure the disease. Even those pesky druids have gotten into the game of reincarnation. To what ends? To fuel a cycle of revenge and war again and again. Let's not even fathom how difficult it is to kill a god in such a world. In our world. Ah, but you've thought of this, haven't you? To kill a king, to slay a dragon, to eliminate a deity and claim their power for your own. The Shadelands can provide these things to you, adventurer, and so much more. Warlocks from across the plains have made their pilgrimage to the north, where a veil between worlds runs thin, and the hidden ones offer their guidance at a price. Power, wealth, and fame are easy enough to gain elsewhere, but in the great city of Yonkath, true secrets await. So we invite you, no matter your background or how much hate rests in your heart, to join us in the Shadelands. Come see magnificence with your very eyes, and know what a kingdom ruled by warlocks has brought into your world. After all, the only way to learn our secrets is to heed our call. Welcome to the Red Opera. In this campaign setting, we've created an extremely metal-themed epic saga where the players determine the final fate of the Shadelands, a place where the veil between elemental planes runs thin and patrons can whisper directly with members of all classes, not just warlocks. Here, the Accursed King sits on a throne, delicately balancing deals with nearly every patron, but his grip on reality is starting to fray. While cities ruled by wizards, clerics, and paladins are common, a war-torn city where warlocks have sought refuge is rare indeed. The Red Opera provides storytellers and players a look into this relationship between warlock and patron, and opens it up so anyone can wield their power. Using this, explore the hidden agendas of those patrons who aren't yet strong enough to be gods, or help young warlocks avoid losing their souls before it's too late. We've created the Red Opera in such a way that it will fit into your existing campaign world, no matter which setting you are running. The 10-act full-length saga is suitable for all tiers of play, including the rare all-level 20 game, yet easily scaled down for first-tier play too. Most importantly, we've truly embraced player agency, and thus have given the campaign multiple endings. Because of this, the Red Opera can be run multiple times, with each playthrough feeling truly fresh and unique. Partnering with Dia Morte, the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame, and the Budapest Scoring Symphonic Orchestra, each of our adventure acts is paired with a track on the Red Opera album. This creates a truly immersive experience by providing multiple mediums of engagement. So other than your soul, what do you have to lose? Help us turn this project into reality by backing our Kickstarter and join the cast of the Red Opera.